Juan Under, Shane, what do you think of Vince Russo's recent video claiming AEW talents call him and expose the fact that their booking is done a few hours before the show? That's something I've heard as well, on and off camera, by the way.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Paul, believe it or not, did quite a lot of his booking. Not on his booking, maybe for this show tonight, but in his head, he had a good idea of where the angle had started and where he wanted to meander. In some ways, that can be a benefit because it makes you nimble. With this, let's just take this past week, for example. If I've written down this storyline 5-6 months ago that I'm going to put James in, and now we get to this point of the storyline, boom, and move forward, and we've already know where we're going. Except this week, they've had this bombshell release of this lawsuit. So it would look really silly for us to just pretend that we're not existing in that world, much like Iron Claw, right? No Chris in that movie. No Chris. But you have to be nimble enough to be able to incorporate and fold that in. And I wonder with a company the size of WWE or other large entities, how nimble they can be. Because I've heard that Tony's doing all the booking himself, and if only it were that easy. It's just to have the money and have some ideas. Every wrestling fan out there listening to this podcast right now has ideas. Could you flesh that out to a 6, 12, 18-month storyline and make it make sense? And in the middle of that, be nimble enough to fold in breaking news as it's going through. It takes a special breed of person to do that. It's exhausting. It requires an immense amount of creativity. And it also requires an awful lot of being amenable to, okay, I'm married to this storyline the way that I've written it, but this big thing happened, or the star of this angle was hurt in a car accident, or a myriad of things that can go wrong. You've got to be nimble enough to move on that. And I think that was the benefit for places like ECW, and it should be for AEW as well. Unfortunately, a guy like Tony, who has zero experience in wrestling other than being a fan, it's like when you watch backyard wrestlers, right? They sort of approximate what professional wrestling does when done properly. But it's just a caricature of it. It's just the over exaggerations because it's just mimicking those things and augmenting them. But to be clear, those kids are not working a match, right? They're not out there calling a match or incorporating things in long as it moves on the storyline. It seems to me till now that Tony's been pretty immune to the idea of anybody helping him with that because he's got plenty of talented people in the back that could. And this is where you see the advent of money. If you hit the Powerball for $500-700 million, you too can own a wrestling company and do it however you want. Now, at the end of that, you're going to be out of money and you have to hope to hit the Powerball twice, or you can invest in property and put a product out there. Because again, as I've said in this podcast all the time in other interviews, ultimately, all the rest of it's just bells, buzzers, and whistles. It's the in-ring product that's going to either make or break your company. And I would dare say right now that AEW is having a problem with that. And it looks also as WWE may be as well. They've just gone too far away from the formula, and they've forgotten what wrestling is supposed to be. And in their zeal to, I guess, cover their tracks, they come up with phrases like sports entertainment or not your daddy's wrestling or whatever. It's, well, okay. But fans watching this and fans like us, we want to tune in and watch somebody wrestling and telling that story. And to date, we haven't seen many people rearing their heads to provide that. So any investors out there, there's a great opportunity.